has detained Masood Azhar, chief of Jaish-E-Mohammed, the group which allegedly carried out the Pathankot terror attack. The move comes after India had given clear evidence of Jaish's involvement in the Pathankot attack. India had in fact named Azhar as the mastermind of the attacks, while his brother Abdul Rauf was identified by India as the handler of those dastardly attacks. He's also been taken into protective custody. Though the Indian government has got no official confirmation yet, hectic parleys have been taking place at the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's residence at 7 Racecourse Road. In fact, the meetings are going on as we speak. 2 high-level meetings have also been scheduled, and a decision on the foreign secretary level talks will be taken soon. Pakistan wants to send a special investigation team to Pathankot to gather more evidence. To discuss more on this big development that's taking place from Pakistan, I'm now joined by Pinak Chakravarty, former Secretary Economic Relations at the Ministry of External Affairs. Also with us live from Pakistan is Shahzeb Jillani, who also works for the BBC. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on The Big Picture on CNBC TV 18. Let me start by asking you first, Mr. Chakravarty. Many are pleasantly surprised the alacrity, the speed with which Pakistan in this, this time round has responded to India's overtures. Not only Maulana Azhar, but also 12 other members of JEM have also been arrested. So clearly, I mean, do you see that, do you construe this as a possible thaw in relations between India and Pakistan?
Well, let me first say that I've been hearing, from various quarters, including in Pakistan, that there is some change going on in Pakistan. Now, if this is reflective of that change, then we should all welcome it. That such action has been taken, and that Pakistan itself is worried about all these people working out of there. But I'm still a little skeptical that this action will be carried through. I think many people are skeptical in India. But I think it's an opportunity. There is a window of opportunity. And I believe, personally, that the decision of the government of India will probably be to have the talks and then wait and watch. Now, don't forget, this is simply protective custody of these people. Now, whether this will lead to, FIRs being filed, charge sheets being filed, and these people being arrested and put in judicial custody and interrogated, etc., I suppose investigations will have to go further to take all those actions. So for the moment, I think this is a good first step.
Right, Shahzeb, comment on that, because there is also a risk, while many in India are indeed pleasantly surprised by the response of the Pakistan government, but there's also a risk of overreading into this development. Tell us a little bit, do you feel that this perhaps somewhere does indeed mark a shift in Pakistan's approach towards India, and also more importantly, approach towards having jihadis as partners in their bid to destabilize India?
I think it's a bit too early to say that this is a game changer or not. I mean, quite clearly, if you remember, when Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, during his previous tenure, was trying to improve relations with India, Vajpayee Sahab came to Lahore, he clearly did not have his army chief on board, and we saw what happened in Kargil. This time around, Nawaz Sharif campaigned during his election. He wanted to improve relations with India, and he's been saying it all along. Now, Prime Minister Modi has taken an initiative in the last month and in the last few weeks, and Nawaz Sharif wants to be seen to be responding to it. This time, he wants the army chief on board if there is to be any movement on India-Pakistan relations, and that is why you saw meetings between the army chief, with ISI chief there, with the Prime Minister, and then this reported action against the Jaish chief. There's still no official confirmation. These are reports circulating in the Pakistani media that he's been arrested. I've seen a report saying he was detained 2 weeks ago. And as your other guest rightly pointed out, these are protective custody, which means that government is seen to be doing something about the evidence that India has provided. It may lead to something, or it may not lead to anything, because we know, remember, how Zakir Rahman Lakhvi has been kept as an official guest all these years. He has been allowed to have visitors, mobile phones. He's been producing babies while in custody. So if this is going to be that sort of detention, then it won't amount to much. Now, Pakistan has also said that they want to send their investigators to Pathankot to gather more information. I think that's a non-starter. I don't think India will allow that. But clearly, Pakistani actions have paved the way for the foreign secretary level talks to go ahead.
Right. Then, Shahzeb, essentially what you're saying is if Narendra Modi would not have reached out to Nawaz Sharif, then and after which, if Pathankot, were to happen the way it did, then Pakistan may not have taken this step. So you're saying counterfactually. So I mean, if that development didn't take place, then we would not have seen this alacrity and the promptness that Pakistan has showed.
That's right. I mean, remember, in India-Pakistan relations, India is the bigger neighbor, much more powerful neighbor. And I feel many people in Pakistan believe that, when Pakistani political government wants to improve relations, the initiative always lies with India. And Prime Minister Modi did not respond to Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif during his first couple of years. But now there seems to be a change of heart. And people in Pakistan welcome that. They want the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to address any concerns about Pathankot, take action, and improve ties with India.
Right. Mr. Chakravarty, then would you say then perhaps this is a diplomatic coup of sorts for Narendra Modi? Because remember, when he actually went to Lahore unannounced, there was a lot of criticism back home. In fact, Congress was up, was up against Narendra Modi's, those efforts. So from that perspective, do you think Narendra Modi sort of read the situation right? And in retrospect, you would say that that was the right step to take, because many would say that this is perhaps indeed a diplomatic coup for India.
Well, as I say that let's not get euphoric about this. Mr. Modi certainly took a risk. It was a calculated risk. And he must have weighed the pros and cons of taking such a risk and whether it would pay any dividends. But remember, soon after the visit, you had the Pathankot incident, which led many to believe that this was probably a risk that he should not have taken. But then now again, once the graph dipped in terms of Pathankot and went into the negative, today we are seeing a little more upswing in that graph, and we have the arrests, the preventive detentions that have been made. So there is some kind of a change taking place. I think there is a desire to carry forward this momentum that Mr. Modi created through that calculated risk of going to Lahore. Now, let's face it, I mean, this kind of gestures do matter in diplomacy. And I think these gestures can lead to breakthroughs and sometimes opening up windows of opportunity that this kind of a sort of a stopover in Lahore that Mr. Modi undertook has done. Now, let's see what happens. We have to wait and see.
We need to. Absolutely. Shahzeb, just tell our Indian viewers a little bit of, Maulana Masood Azhar standing in Pakistan, because when he was released in 1999 after the Kandahar hijack, he in fact held rallies in Pakistan, and at that point, it just appeared here in India that he had garnered a lot of support. But then, of course, Musharraf went on to ban JEM. What is his standing in Pakistan right now? What more can you tell us?
Well, after that horrible episode of the Indian aeroplane hijacked and landing in Kandahar, and then these people released in exchange for passengers, when this guy arrived in Pakistan and he was holding huge rallies, it left no doubt in anyone's mind here that he had support and he had friends in Pakistani military establishment. But after General Musharraf banned his organization, he was essentially asked to kind of stay quiet and not hold public rallies, keep a low profile all these years. His organization has been banned. But still, they've been active in certain towns and cities, collecting donations, doing charity work and so on. So he's been allowed to kind of do that at a low profile, and many people still believe that he's still seen by some as an asset, and they will not kind of act against him. The other theory is that the current army chief Rahil Sharif wants to take action against those who step out of line. There are also reports that Jaish-E-Mohammed has links with other militant groups against the Pakistani army, like Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, like TTP, like Islamic
Right.
State or Daesh. If they step out of line, they will be punished.
Right.
These are murky matters. No one can speak with certainty about the fact whether there's a change in thinking or these are just essential steps Pakistan had to take in
Right.
order to pave way for the India-Pakistan talks.
Mr. Chakravarty, of course, there's a lot of difference, as you rightly pointed out, between detention and an arrest, and therefore, one needs to be cautious. But do you think this gesture is enough for India then to go ahead with the foreign secretary level talks? Because right now the Prime Minister is meeting with India's foreign secretary and also Sushma Swaraj. So do you think this is enough? And because India now has no choice but to go ahead with with those talks.
No, that's not correct. India has the choice of not going ahead. India could take a position saying that this is not enough, protective custody is not enough, and we can quibble about all this. But as I said, that when in diplomacy we look for opportunities, and then we have this window, and there is a positive direction that has been taken. So it would be a little, I think, out of bounds for us to suddenly say, we will not talk. You'll have to do much more, and then Pakistan can reverse its strategy and say, okay, we can do more, but give us the evidence, and then we go into a mode which again is a downward kind of a spiral. I don't think the government in India wants that to happen, and I think I'm betting on that the talks will happen. But don't forget, these talks are not about suddenly that we'll solve everything. It's about just starting a process, and that process can be interrupted later on, and by a conscious decision of a government, the government of India, or by the government of Pakistan, or by actions that government of Pakistan takes. So that is still very much in the air. So we have options open, but and including the option of not talking. But I think personally that the government of India may pitch in and go ahead with this first round, and then we'll see what happens after that.
We shall leave it at that, gentlemen. We've completely run out of time. Thank you very much, Mr. Pinak Chakravarty and Shahzeb Jillani, to joining us on this discussion. Clearly, both my guests there being very circumspect in terms of whether this indeed means real change in Pakistan as far as their relationship, as far as Pakistan government and military's relationship with the jihadis are concerned.